biggest bear out there, so be it.
You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Live to trade another day, live to trade another day, live to make another play. Win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Is it the bottom yet? I'm tryna buy up everything, not gon' get upset, just pull the trigger, let it bang. When I see a trade, I'm hopping in like a Uber to secure my future. Up early just like a rooster, eyes glued to the computer, looking for a bag or two. Market cipher on the screen, compliments of trading view. Now I know what I'ma do, buy low and sell high. Even if you try and fail, at least you didn't fail to try. I don't wanna be the type of guy that let fear win. I'm the one that dive in head first and bust my chin. I know FOMO is a no-no, but I still get it in. Nah, I can't predict the future, but I know I'm bound to win. Later or sooner, I'll be the big kahuna, cause I got big kahunas. I was not scared to get money, I took me some chances and now I'm the big kahuna. And if you scared, might as well get neuter. I'ma keep chasing my dreams, wake up in mansion so big, I need a segue to get from wing to wing. Scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Don't be scared, G, like paid in full, get your bread, B. Cold wallet full of crypto, yeah, Big Lebowski. Can't forget to tip the waitress, fur and loathing in Las Vegas. Tupac told us about the changes, people hating on your greatness. Mansion looking hella spacious, shoes, they ain't got no laces. This the Aquarius age, life happen in different phases. Out with money, in with crypto, analog to digital. Could've been rich, but you was scared, what a imbecile. Say you want a miracle, but you bet the minimal. Should've bet it all, hell no, not the unthinkable. Grow some balls if you got a pair, man, I double dare you to put it all in the market. No sir, I'm not trying to scare you. Seeking and searching, I need some more money. AI is scary, make us look like dummies. Serious about profit, I need it, I'm hungry. My music all over, but I'm from the country. Bank account thicker than Manuka honey. Got multiple wallets, don't go in my pocket. Ether's a favorite, but I don't discriminate. Scared to get money, get the hell up out my face. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. You win some, you lose some, but you live to trade another day, live to make another play. Win some, another day, you lose some, another play, live to trade another day, live to make another play. Win some, another day, you lose some, another play, live to trade another, live to trade another day. Scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money, scared money don't make no money.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Dano Crypto. On this channel, we show you guys how to make simple, effective, and easy moves in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. So what is going on, everyone? Welcome. Hope you can hear everything well. Hope you can see everything well. Hope everything's sounding good, looking good. I bet you're looking good. Happy Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. So we are just going to talk a little about the crypto or fiat question. And we're going to talk about how the conversation about crypto a lot of times is, like, okay, I'm going to sell. When do I sell? When do I sell my crypto? And we thought to ourselves, we've been thinking about it a lot. And what if, just what if, it's not a matter of if you're going to sell your crypto. It's a matter of what are people going to accept as payment over the next 10 years for said products and services. Well, we were seeing that some, things like Steak and Shake are hopping on the Bitcoin train, using the Bitcoin Lightning Network, accepting Bitcoin for purchasing some burgers and some tallow fries. But I start to think about, what if the meme economy, like coins like Dogecoin, like Pepe, even fart coin. Imagine you go into a store and you can use fart coin to buy something. It'd be crazy, right? It'd be hilarious. Imagine using ticker Bitcoin, like the people's Bitcoin, ticker Bitcoin, to go and buy, I don't know, some toilet paper. I don't know. I think about that. I think about the crypto economy as like, are we going to really think about selling it? That's why I think Michael Saylor, we're going to play a clip of Michael Saylor today. He was on Squawk Box. And we think that the reason why people have said for years, don't sell your Bitcoin, never sell your Bitcoin, is that there is going to be a day where you're going to be able to use your Bitcoin to buy stuff. Or to trade with someone, you're bartering with your Bitcoin. You're going to be able to say, well, I really like that house. And someone's going to say, well, I really like your Bitcoin. And you're going to be able to purchase a house with Bitcoin. And it's going to be really interesting. Maybe one day you'll be able to buy a house with Pepe, but that would be a glorious day, my friends. But welcome. I hope you're doing well. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe button, dinging the bell to be notified, because when we go live in these cryptocurrency live streams and content, we want to make sure you guys are getting the updates immediately. So that is the housekeeping. You just want to ding the bell. You want to hit that like button. And yes, Laser, shout out to Laser, says, you can use it as collateral. So that's what these smart money, you see above my head, you see over there, right over here, right over there, above my head, smart money moves. And that's kind of what the smart money is doing. They're putting big portions of their cash reserves, whatever their treasury is, and they're putting it into Bitcoin because they understand that, inflation is getting out of control. Things in terms of the Fed have been really dicey. They've been holding super tight on these federal interest rates. The economy doesn't look good. They're saying, they're gaslighting us, saying, oh, the economy's great, but the jobs came back and the jobs numbers are garbage. A lot of the jobs that were created apparently were jobs that we can't even give real data, because a lot of the jobs were from apparently illegal immigrants. So then you take all these things into account, and you're like, okay, so then really there's more Americans that are out of jobs than we might think. And this has a lot to do with the kind of this floodgates that are opening with AI. The tech is changing. Companies are just hiring differently. They're not hiring real strong for certain positions that they used to. So this kind of eliminates a lot of need for certain people, because then now they can just get AI to do it, and better and more efficient and faster, and it's cheaper. This is all coming down the pipe. So that's why we've explained it's really imperative right now, and very important, that you learn about investing and money and markets and crypto, learning about Bitcoin, learning about these on-chain capital markets, because this is where all of the action is going to be happening. You have TradFi evolving into going on chain, and we're seeing it happen in real time. And so this is something to be bullish about. But what I want you guys to focus on is not necessarily the short-term price actions. You want to be focusing on the long-term growth of crypto as a whole, as an industry. Because when you compare it to something like, say, Amazon, when they got into selling books, and they were just selling books, and then they upgraded, they started leveling up. They were like, all right, now we're going to start selling more than just books. We're going to start selling actual products. And then we're going to go even to the next step and let other businesses sell and create stores inside of Amazon and then sell their products. And then they went as far as doing Amazon Web Services. And then, I mean, and then you start to see how the growth and the quote network growth of Amazon happened. And if you look at that in terms of the stock, when you look at the stock, I love actually looking at the stock of Amazon and seeing how that volatility went over time. And it was crazy. I mean, if you compare it on the monthly chart of Amazon from 2009 or 2008, holy crap. I mean, this thing went up, I think like 60,000%. I mean, it went up. It's just crazy. So now sitting at, $237, this is how you have to think about the growth, the network growth and potential of the whole cryptocurrency markets as a whole. And then that's how you become a investor and not a gambler. You're not a trader, because guess what? The bots and the snipers and the people that have a better edge than you, or let's just say Binance sandworms and Coinbase sandworms and robotic, algorithmic trading that's happening, probably going to chop you up if you tried to make that your full-time career. And so really what you need to do is just kind of say, okay, I might be able to take advantage of that here and there. And so if there are good opportunities, like for instance, like right now, Bitcoin sitting at a pretty decent level at $111,000. I mean, it's probably went up a little bit more since we just checked the price, but it's still cheap. And we're having price calls going to $200,000 by the end of the year. I mean, I think we can definitely get cranking past 150, breaking a new all-time high, getting to that first Fibonacci level. First Fibonacci level is at 133,000. But the point that I'm trying to make here is when you look at gold and you look at Amazon stocks, these big companies, and you look at their stock valuations 10, 15 years ago, it just provides really good macro data to just believe more in crypto. We're being convinced that it's all about these 4-year cycles, but what's hilarious, and Sami made this point, which is great, and I've made this point too, it's like we have data to back up that we've had an altcoin season every single cycle. Every cycle we've had an altcoin season, and every cycle there's someone that tells us that we're not going to have another altcoin cycle. But then when we go back into history and we look, we've had one every cycle, which was the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin halvings from 2008 or 2009 going into that first halving, which was in 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 2012, 13, around there, that first run. And then the second run was subsequent to the second halving, which happened in 2016, and then 2017 was the run in the Ethereum ICO season. Every cycle and quote seasons of the market, whether you want to call it a crypto winter, going into the summer, crypto spring, whatever, and then however you want to cycle it in the seasons, we've had an altcoin season. So we basically, if you want to go on previous data, we're about like 99.9 hand sanitizer antibacterial chance of having another altcoin season, which just means crypto has been asymmetric growth to the upside in terms of a technology as what is the newest and most sought after tech that billions and billions of dollars is investing in right now, because it's where everything is moving. The smart money's moving on chain. And so us thinking that we're going to have a, $20 trillion, total cryptocurrency market cap is not far-fetched at all comparative to what we see as other assets value, like gold being at $24 trillion. Gold, since we're going to be talking about some of these commodities, it has recently now has broken all-time highs. Now it is really proving that it is that gold, that Bitcoin and crypto are going to match this same type of trajectory of a breakout because no one wants to be in fiat. You have the blue pill, basically, of fiat, which is it's not real, it's fake, it's the matrix veil pulled over you, and you don't know actually what's happening because they're giving you wrong, the numbers aren't real. It's not real. But then you have the red pill, and then you get actual truth of the blockchain. You can see where you're getting scammed if you're going to get rug pulled. You can see the on-chain stuff that's happening on Solana with all the different extractions. You can see where the money's moving. You can see that the reason why people are getting into Bitcoin is because of the nature of the limited supply, and there's only a certain amount that can be ever in existence. And so if these billionaires and these hedge funds and the countries and treasuries are kind of, I wouldn't say now it's not, it used to be more of a slow drip, but now it's more of like it's a race. So now the faucet's about to start getting turned on, and it's going to, and gold is signaling this because fiat currency is not going to be the play here. Stable coins are going to dominate and basically replace whatever the feds are say printing, but they're still going to print. They're printing, and everything is just being minted in. Am I back? I think I got muted. How long was I muted? Hopefully not long. I had this like little screen on my microphone, and I think it somehow got muted. But I think it's good now. Hopefully I wasn't muted for too long. But yeah, so what we're seeing here is, I'm back. Okay, cool. I don't know how I didn't even hit it. I didn't even touch it. That's so weird. Yeah, it was a little it's a touchy microphone, but hopefully it sounds good. I'm still questionable about this microphone. Like I don't know. But guys, look at this. If gold can do this, I mean, give me a break. Like if we're in crypto right now, and we're looking at gold like this, and you don't have faith in the. I hope I wasn't. How long was I muted? Basically, all I was saying is that there is a big correlation of how gold is breaking out and how it correlates to the overall comparison of the total cryptocurrency market cap. I mean, it's really important to look at these things in terms of network growth. Oh, just for like 3 seconds? Oh, okay, cool. All right, so I don't have to go and explain myself again. But this is fascinating, And also, I had a feeling like dominance was still going to have a hard time trending back up because I still think we're going to go into this quote pre-altcoin season. We're going to get like this pre-altcoin season. We're going to get basically like ETH dominance. I think it's might just be cooling off a little bit. But I mean, maybe if we go into say the 4 hour here and we looked at Bitcoin dominance, it's still going down. It's still trending down, which means that we're having some capital rotation into altcoins. Oh dang! And so we're getting some movements back into some AI coins. And the way that I see that is that AGI was one of those AI coins that we found like freaking 2 years ago, and they were actually one of the first blockchains or projects that was building a chat terminal, like a AI agent terminal. It's called Lucy, I believe, and yeah, this was just kind of one of the first ones that we found. and that we were examining and thinking, okay, maybe there might be first to market and see if AI gets that resurgence back in and people start speculating into AI coins again. Like we had that AI pump before the Trump pump. We had people going into a lot of AI coins. Some were vaporware. They didn't do anything. It was just playing on the AI narrative. And then some were actually building something. And this thing was supposed to be like, hey, you can ask Lucy to basically run a transaction, do whatever you want, actually operate agents as operating as you, it also inside of that ecosystem as well. So yeah, AGI, Delicium is what it's called. I've just noticed this one, when the AI narrative is picking up and people are, speculating back into AI coins, this one was doing really well. I mean, it was pumping pretty good. So now we're seeing this, it's up 14%. Pingu is up 10%. Solana coins that are up in the top ranks, like top 10. Like you got the Trump coin, you have Bonk and Pingu. Ponky's up 5% as well. This one was getting beat a little bit, but now it's starting to come back up. So Solana also itself did really well, was up 5%. Actually on the daily here, or let's just see on the weekly, Solana has been doing really well. It's actually been on a pretty good about a month uptrend from the bottom here since June. And it's really just trying to test back up to its resistance and also all-time high, probably 320 here is what we're calling. You got a cup and handle pattern here, handle over extended a little bit, but think overall we're just trying to test. I think we're just trying to test. If we were to probably like pull a fib and see where that test is headed, is to test into. We're going to the very bottom, pulling that to $14, and so from the bottom here, next level that we would try and. We're testing the 786 right now, which is great. And the next obvious level is $434. That seems fair. I mean, that seems fair. We get a $430 Solana, which is very much we can accomplish this. Then I would expect Pingu and Bonk and also like the DEX tokens like Radium and Jupiter. Anything that's tied to the Solana ecosystem will start to look good. Things like Zeus, for instance, Zeus is like I've said, is the DeFi Bitcoin protocol that is basically getting Bitcoin on chain to Solana through the Zeus protocol. I don't know how it works. I haven't used it yet, but it works and it's cool and it's getting Bitcoin on chain on Solana. You see, this is starting to be like a nice bullish MACD cross here. So all this is showing me is like we're getting into alt season. We're kind of getting into pre-alt season. Bitcoin is still just kind of chilling. It's not breaking out just yet. It's basically been chopping around between 110 and 111. For the past couple of days, if you look at the daily chart, you can see it's just been going, it's just like bing bong and it's just going bam, 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 bam. And so we finally, we might have hit a bottom here on the trend. You see, we are in a channel. You can see we've just been kind of in this channel. So we bonged from 98, then we went to 123, and then we kind of went down a little bit, didn't go all the way down to the channel. We stopped here. Nice little stopping point at 110. The bulls went in control and said, no, we're pushing this up again. Another one all-time high. And we got up to 124. And then now we went back down into the channel. So this is good. This is a good retracement. Healthy retracement. Back down. You can see here that last low was basically at 100K. Then our next higher low was at 107. Really good. And now we're testing basically, you see the purple line is 114. So we're testing 114,000. We're probably, we're just going to see what happens here. This could be really great support. We're sitting right at a level of support and areas of support that pushed us up to all-time highs to begin with. And so We just have to continue the momentum. Hopefully this isn't a false move Monday or anything like that. You know, false moves. We don't want any false moves. We want it to be, you know, consistent. We want it to be consistent. You know, for instance, like the market open here. See how the market open was. Market open wasn't too bad, but we just don't want to get any false moves here. But what we can do is we can look at some of the inflows, we can look at some of the flows, the ETF flows, and Ranchin. So awesome. I was super happy to see that you posted. I didn't ask you to do it, but I figured you would. I sent Ranchin a gift, a little airdrop of the last 2 bags of Bean Coin coffee, and I also some little Dragon Ball Z action figures and some stickers and stuff like that. So, I also airdropped him some Bean Coin because that's also a thing as well. But yeah, we're gonna pull up his post. So he's checking on his cows. All right, let's see. All right, so yeah, the ETFs right now for Ethereum. Let's go to USBTC spot ETFs. It's just kind of cooled down. You know, they're not flowing in like they were past couple months was heavy inflows. So it took a breather, and then you could see that a lot of that heavy inflow stopped and then started to go into ETH. You see how, if you look at this graph, if you look at that graph, and then you go and compare it to Bitcoin's graph here, you can see how that rotation happened. Like the rotation, you could see they were really flowing in January, February, March, April, May, June, all through here, and right here too. They were, but then you could see when we were crashing off the Trump pump, that's when we really got some outflows. So you can see the outflows really changed. And so comparing that to where it happened, where you see it goes into ETH, you can see then they started to flow into ETH. And then you can kind of start to see the progression. So that's kind of how I'm looking at the money right now, is like they really just kind of are just kind of going back and forth. They're like, all right, we flowed up in Bitcoin. Now it's hitting that level. We cooled off. We pumped up Ethereum. We're going to cool it off a little bit. And I think it'll just continue to see exponential growth here over time, because no one wants to be in the dollar. I mean, the fiat's dead. The fiat's dead. You know, like I said, you know, you're getting a choice. You either want to be in the fiat debt interest, like, you know, siphoning society and that type of reality, or you can crack open your brain and really unplug out of the matrix and start to see like value and different things on chain in a completely different way. Oh yeah, JJ, I knew you'd probably come in and start to be like, what is this thumbnail? But I did. Look, before you came on the channel and I saw your profile picture, I have proof that I made a thumbnail with that Pepe like a year ago, and it was called Meme Takeover, and it's honestly one of my favorite thumbnails that I've ever made. So it was kind of a play off of the old one that I made like over a year ago. I'll have to find it. But yeah, so the money moves, or the smart money moves, are happening in real time. And so you can even go do this yourself. You can look and go to the Farside Investors page. It's farside.co.uk. And this is where you can see the weekly inflows, outflows, how much they're buying. This is with ETH and Solana. And I bet like I told you guys, like you're going to start to see the rotation also coming into Sol. And this is how, this is why I think it's important to potentially be a ETH and Sol maxi all in the same time. Like be a Bitcoin maxi, be a ETH maxi, be a Sol maxi, just be a maxi for crypto, because guess what? These are the chains that are being used. I mean, this is where stuff is being tested and really being put to the test. I mean, so even the layer twos, you know, like You want to go real fringe and get on the bleeding edge, you start looking in Pulse Chain, you start looking at all those ecosystems as well. I mean, you can start to go wild, but you really just want to just be bullish crypto, narrow something down. You don't need to be following 17 million things. Like for instance, me, we've explained how, look, we have, there's so many different things that you could tune into. But if you really want to do the most, basically, I guess, have a healthy way to approach the market. That is the best way that I can say. Okay, so if you want a very healthy way to approach investing, is that you don't want to try and follow too many things. Maybe you yourself are very knowledgeable about ETFs. Maybe you know a lot about ETFs. And your edge is knowing which ETFs are performing the best, and you just are really great at following that. And then you add in a couple different things, and then maybe you've got like 4 things you're focused on. Like maybe it's NFTs. You're like, I know a lot about ETFs, NFTs, and all the TT fees and whatever, all of the abbreviations of things. And then that's your edge. And you just get so good at just being consistent over time. And that's all you need to do. So maybe for another person, you are really in tune with the video game market. Laser says he's very in tune with the Cosmos ecosystem. Go Cosmos, yeah. Yeah, Cosmos, interoperable chain stuff, like if you're really into that, then you're just going to be bullish Cosmos. And yeah, so that's a great way to approach the market. So then you can just really you can get better at knowing your ecosystems and what's performed the best over time in those ecosystems too, because it's like you're going to have all kinds of coins and projects that are in that narrative, and then you can narrow it down and be like, all right, well, which one do you think is undervalued? Which one do you think is overvalued and is probably like, who knows, or it's however you want to break it down. It's a cool way to go. All right, so let's get into a little bit of the news today. We're going to play a couple of clips, but first we're going to give a shout out to Ranchin enjoying some bean coin coffee. So I hope it tastes good. I mean, it was an experimental batch. So, but yeah, I'm sure you just anyone that can appreciate a hot coffee in the morning, checking the cows. So that's awesome. Man, you are out there, man. You are way out there. That's awesome. Okay, so basically we're going to go through a little bit of the news, but yeah, we appreciate you making the post. So shout out to Ranchin. Okay. OURBIT, this is funny. They said, some of you be so focused on the cheese that you forgot about the trap. Yeah. That's kind of like the trenchers, the people that get a little too caught up in trying to chase certain things. And that's what happens. Like you're so focused on let me get to, and it's like you want it like the next day. You want it like this week, and not realizing that it might be a big trap where that cheese is sitting. And speaking of that, it's like you get stuff like this happening. I mean, this is like classic. This is classic. Girls saying that they're going to do certain things, and then they will keep revealing certain levels of things, whether it be on a stream, whatever provocative stream. So I'm sure you guys have seen these two floating around, and kind of the concept that was happening here. I mean, it's not like this is anything new. How to rug a coin while earning 14K in fees. I mean, man, they made out like bandits though. It said powered by the new pump fund project Ascend. The short story two girls, one stream. So the concept, obviously, is that something that has always existed on the internet. Two girls doing something sexy if they reach a specific target. In this case, target is based on the token market cap. So yeah, they basically, I guess, got it up to a certain point, and then they rugged the crap out of it. So yeah, that happened. Pay no mind though. All right, so then let's see what Ivan on Tech has been talking about Pulse Chain a lot since those since we finally found out what those devices were going to be, the advertising marketing devices, which is the sketch pads with all the Pulse Chain marketing addresses and coins and different things on it. So let's see what Ivan has to say.
There is, guys, hope for you if you hodl some hex, guys. If you hodl some hex, there is hope. There is hope. Because Richard Hart has come out and he started to now tweet that the hex is potentially going to go to 10,000x, or at least you can translate this tweet to kind of being like that. And as you remember, we need few things. For hex to pump, for pulse to pump, we need a few things. Number one, Richard needs to start to come online and say that this coin is going to do 10,000x. When he did that in the last cycle,
needs to stream. Richard needs to stream.
That's number one. And that has happened. I mean, if he keeps going like this, daily post 10,000x, he needs to say that Pulse was designed to do 10,000x, just like it did 10,000x. So that's actually bullish. The second thing he needs to do is to kind of consolidate all of the coins into one coin. I don't know if he will be able to do that, but if you remember his earliest philosophy, it was about that we only pump one coin, we only speak about one coin, we don't mention any other coin. And yes, now there are many arguments in the Pulse community why it's good to have many different coins, but deep down you all know it's bad that there are many different coins. Instead of pumping one, now there is Hex, P-Hex, E-Hex, Pulse, PulseX, incentive coin, there is P-Dye, there is like a billion other scam coins and so on and so forth. Deep down you all know that I'm correct, that if there would be just one coin, it would fly very high, but now you have many coins. So it would fly very high, but now you have many coins. So somehow he needs to consolidate them. I don't know.
So weird. Twitter X was like not letting me pause the video because I wanted to comment. Yes, Ivan. Yes, I have felt like that almost every time I started to like a coin, and the dev whatever reveals themselves, and they were like, yes, I want this. This is going to be my life's work. This is going to be the token that I put my work on. It's going to be on my tombstone. And then lo and behold, they launched like 5 other coins, and then you're just like, and so it's really frustrating because if you're going to, like, the whole thing about rallying behind a token, this is how I felt with Kindu. You know, I was into Kindu. And then the dev came out and was just terrible. Launches 5 other different coins. Rugs his NFT project. And then it's terrible. So yeah, I'm definitely for that. Yeah, so like the multi-token thing sometimes is annoying, but if it has an actual purpose, like for instance, like, you know, the whole thing with Pulse here is that the ecosystem is based on the fundamentals of DeFi. So you have the layer 1, which has the token that is the gas token. That's Pulse Chain. That's PLS. Then you have where people go to trade and provide liquidity, and where bonding happens with liquidity with the DEX, which is PLSX. That's the DEX token. Then you have a token that is the reward for providing liquidity and providing farms and pools and stuff like that inside of the DEX incentive token. And then you have the mining and the staking aspect of crypto. That's where Hex comes in. So in Richard's mind, I would imagine, if I were to be like thinking about, you know, Richard being the smarty pants he is, he's like, look, that's all the fundamentals of DeFi that you need. And so I get that. And then so like that's kind of what's happening with XYO. You know, I'm bullish XYO. They are having a layer 1 model with XYO and XL1 being the gas token for the chain. So there's, I guess, pros and cons, but yeah, people sometimes don't like that. They're like, oh, yeah, there's like a million tokens. Like, well, then what, you know, if everyone just bought the one token, then there'd be maybe more upside potential in the entire thing to begin with, instead of it being like, you know, liquidity spread across these things, and then maybe no one's holding incentive, or maybe they don't know about the PLS. They don't know about what I just explained, so they're not putting, you know, thousands of dollars into each one. I mean, maybe they might just buy Pulse, or they might just buy Hex, or I don't know. So let me know what you think about that. I don't know. What do you think? Like, that's how my mind thinks about it. That's how I break it down. It might annoy you as well, or you might like it, because then you're like, it teaches you about those aspects, and you can play around with it. Like, for instance, like I've played around with it in terms of, you know, checking out these farms. Like I had some, you know, I experimented harvesting some incentive token. That's where actually most of my incentive token value even came from to begin with, was when early on, whenever we had a Pulse chain launch, I provided liquidity and I earned incentive token. So I actually earned like 10 incentive token by providing like very small liquidity, you know, a year ago or so. So I just let it sit in there. And so I imagine you start doing that over time, and you have that long-term, you have that macro outlook on crypto, and you've been testing this stuff. And you can do it on other chains too. I mean, there's other opportunities you can be doing the same thing. Like for me, I've just kind of chosen Pulse Chain because I feel like it's the underdog with the most upside potential. If anything has the most X's that could potentially happen that would sideline and surprise everyone, it would probably be this ecosystem. It could be the end game final rotation where people go, oh, what? And then like, if we're here now and then it's the final rotation, that means that's where your 100x comes from. You know, your 100x comes from being the one that was at the bottom, being the believer, and that's kind of, you know, that's where Bitcoin maxis were born. That whole thought process is exactly where Bitcoin maxis were born. They were like, I'm going to be the one with the last laugh while everyone's holding funerals for Bitcoin. I'm planning my exit from the freaking matrix. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you a little story. I just played a show with some good friends of mine. She had an album release. It was in a listening room. This was the second album release show that we played. Great room, good amount of people in there. She wrote a song called Money. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. And she asked me, she's like, what's your favorite song, Daniel? And I said, Money. And she was like, well, that's funny because you don't really like the money too much. She's like, tell them what you really like. Because she knows I'm into crypto. She likes that I'm into crypto, but she gives me a hard time. She'll make jokes. And I said Bitcoin out loud, and I want you guys to guess what happened. What do you think happened when I said that? The whole room laughed. They all laughed. And then my friend she then asked, well, how many of you have Bitcoin? Raise your hand. No one raised their hand. And then I'm just sitting there smiling. And Chelsea then said, well, guys, he might end up being the one laughing last. And in my head, I'm like maniacally laughing. I'm like maniacally. I'm like in my head. I'm like the craziest maniacal laugh you've ever probably heard in your life. And I had to sit there and just like be like, and just smile and nod my head. And I thought to myself, wow, that's going to be one of those moments that I remember for a very long time. That I will be the one laughing last. And all the people that looked at me like I was freaking crazy for getting into crypto or making a crypto channel or trying to do this thing, what we're doing right now. It's not about me. It's not about me. It's about what we are believing in right now. That's what it's about. It's about not letting a room full of people laughing at the fact that you believe in something to change your freaking mind about what we're doing here, about what I'm trying to do. So, my friends, we're early. We're so early. I don't think you understand. I really don't think you understand. So I hope that story inspires you to continue to keep on keeping on. Let a whole room of people laugh at you because you said you like Bitcoin. Let them laugh. Let them laugh. I stand alone. I just saw that comment. I stand alone. Yeah. Go. Was it Sully? Let's go. That song rips. I love the drum. The drums on that song are so sick. I stand alone. That song rips. Oh, dude, I'm jamming that song later. I'm gonna crank that one. Good old Godsmack. All right, let's play some videos. We got some more videos. We got some stuff to play. Oh God, and I'm curious, what do you guys think about what's going on with this, like with Justin Sun and World Liberty Financial? I feel like there's some weird stuff happening. Like all this talk about but I don't want to say I'm not surprised, because when it comes to being an early investor in someone's protocol and it's not decentralized, obviously, it's freaking centralized. It's like if they wanted to lock those tokens or lock addresses or whatever they want to do, they just did it. That's not decentralized. That means you have no control, even if you just put a bunch of your money in it. So that just is showing you, like, okay, like, at what point do you really want to be investing in something that you can actually have control over, which is literally like Bitcoin, memes, and a very small bag of things that exist in these markets right now that you can hold on chain. You can hold it like this, and it's not going to be frozen, or it's not going to be like, oh well, you know, the DAO or the whatever, they voted for blah 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 blah, and it's just like, who freaking cares? No, I got this stuff here on chain, and I'm gonna have it, and no one's gonna pry it out of my freaking dead hands. You have to pry it out of my dead hands trying to get my crypto. So And that's what Justin Sun was like, hey, you know, we're supposed to be open, transparent. I invested. I'm an early investor. Why are you locking my tokens, bro? And so that's what's happening with that, with the World Liberty Financial stuff. So you can take that for what it is. Okay, so Michael Saylor Mondays, buying Bitcoin, has announced the acquisition of 1,955 Bitcoins for $217 million at an average price of $111,000 per Bitcoin. Now they are holding 638,462 Bitcoin. They are have the biggest holding out of any company with that has a Bitcoin treasury. The treasuries list here, strategy with that list holding 638,000, and the biggest holdings of Bitcoin right under them is 21, which is Jack Mallers' company in conjunction with Tether and Howard Lutnick. They are getting really fast up there. And then we got the Bitcoin Standard Treasury Company. Bullish is BlackRock's company, which just went public recently with the ticker BLSH, 24,000 Bitcoin holdings. We have Metaplanet. Metaplanet is a Japanese-based company, though, but they are 5th on the list. Tesla being one of the companies that actually spurred the rocket, bull run in 2021 when they announced that they were going to buy Bitcoin. That's actually what made me make my very first video on YouTube about crypto, which if you go to Constant Swimmer, this is my music page, and the first video I ever made, who the heck is that guy? Oh my gosh. I thought to myself, no wonder, I was having a hard time with the ladies back then. Look at me. Look like the dude, I look like the freaking caddy in Happy Gilmore. Mixed with Forrest Gump when he was running. What I've been doing, This is crazy. This is wild. This was 4 years ago. 4 years ago. This was the time that I started to dollar cost average crypto. This is when I just was like, all right, yeah, I think crypto is, and look, I even got my Robinhood link in here, Robinhood and Voyager. Look at me.
What's up, guys? So the moment has come. Elon Musk has invested.
What? Holy crap. This was February 8th, 2021. Holy moly. Holy moly.
It's possible, from YouTube, from articles, and just all of this stuff. Friends, if you have friends that are have been, talking about crypto for years, and you kind of were half listening, but, now you're kind of like, oh, damn, I probably should have listened. I have a couple friends, that actually have always talked about, cryptos, Bitcoin and Ethereum, for instance, my friend Ben, he's has always kind of been, on the investment over time. A couple days later, much emotion attached to it.
Holy crap. 4 freaking years ago, man. Insane. Insane. Okay, let's get on these videos now. We got a video with Tom Lee, and we got a video with, hold on here. Where's the one with Michael Saylor?
Check out price of Bitcoin this morning.
Oh, there it goes.
Check out price of Bitcoin this morning. The cryptocurrency up over 100% this year. Joining us right now is Bitcoin bull Michael Saylor, strategy executive chairman. You know him from MicroStrategy. People are still getting those names, figured out. So we had Tom Lee on the broadcast. I don't know if you saw this earlier today. And he effectively said Bitcoin at $111,000 is headed to $200,000 effectively by Christmas. What do you think of that?
Well, most of the equity analysts that follow our stock have target prices for Bitcoin, and they're all north of 150. Bitcoin represents a digital transformation of the capital markets, and so the more people know about it, the more they get educated on it, the more companies embrace it, the higher it goes. You can't make any more of it.
Right. that may be all, but in terms of just what you're seeing in terms of flows and whatnot, that would get it to $200,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, great flows from the ETFs. BlackRock is showing record numbers. Our companies raised $19 billion this year.
Right.
All of it went into Bitcoin. We just announced $217 million of Bitcoin purchases this morning before I walked onto this set here.
Wait, 217 million this morning?
217 million, just slightly less than 2,000 Bitcoin. Our first buy, and we were the first public company to buy Bitcoin, we bought $250 million of Bitcoin, and that was like all the money we'd come up with in 30 years.
Yeah.
And this was just a short week, 4 days.
Okay, so can I ask you this? For those folks who are investing in MicroStrategy, or strategy, I should say, as opposed to Bitcoin, you are effectively a levered bet on Bitcoin. That's what this company has become.
That's
Fair?
correct.
Okay, so the question is, on the way up, it would be it's fabulous, right? Because everything becomes, multiplied. What happens on the way down, if there is a down?
Well,
There is no down, sir. Only you get only up. It's only if you watch the live stream from the beginning, we explained it's only up from here, guys.
a lot of investors, they have to buy equity, and so we offer Bitcoin-backed equity, or they need to buy credit, and so we have 4 Bitcoin-backed credit instruments, preferred stocks. So the ones that are risk-averse, that want the exposure, are buying the credit, like Strike, which has got the upside with some downside protection. The ones that are buying the equity want 2x Bitcoin. They want more volatility, they want more performance, and they see it as a more efficient way to get that exposure. Turns out that 99% of the money in the world is mandated to equity and credit. Most of these professional investors and most of these passive funds, they can't buy the underlying commodity even if they wanted to.
Right, but just to understand it, if in fact, even if there was a crypto winter, and we'll call it a winter because that suggests there's still a potential summer again, at what numbers and levels does it become complicated at which you start to have to sell things?
You know, we constructed a pretty bulletproof balance sheet. I would say we have a PhD in leverage by now because we lived through the last crypto winter. We went from 6,000 to 16,000. We were buying Bitcoin at 16,000. We used to use senior debt, and we had some margin type loans. We rolled out of that to converts, and this year we really have started to reallocate to preferreds. And preferreds are the best kind of leverage because they never come due. So I think we're fine right now because substantially our leverage comes from preferred stocks rather than from debt at all.
You mentioned that you bought $250 million this morning, or $217 million this morning as you walked in. What's your dollar cost average for what you've paid for Bitcoin?
About $73,000 a coin.
And I guess I wonder if you think Standard & Poor's or others, or if anybody has any sort of bias towards crypto still at this point, because the S&P 500 just came out with their decisions, and they chose to go with Robinhood and AppLovin over Strategy. And a lot of people were kind of surprised by that. The stock actually.
And see, I didn't know that. I did because I knew that Strategy was due to be added. Oh, that looks weird. I gotta fix that. Yeah, but they I guess they didn't make the cut. They didn't make the cut. Let's see. Embedded chat background. I don't know what the heck happened. Chat background, message background. There we go. I think I messed that up. Let me see. All right, boom. Cool.
Actually was down a little bit. Do you think that there is a bias at any of the indexes or any places that come through this against a company with a lot of Bitcoin in holdings?
I don't think there's a bias. I don't think we expected to be selected on our first quarter of eligibility. We figure it'll happen at some time. There's a digital transformation in the markets. This is a brand new, novel concept. Every quarter, we make new believers. We get more support from banks, from politicians, from credit rating agencies, et cetera. I think that will continue for the foreseeable future.
Can we just go back to the preferred piece for just a moment? Just because I think people want to understand, what a leveraged bet this is. But you're suggesting that because it's preferred, it never comes due. How can it be that they never come due?
If you were using margin debt, you'd never want to go beyond 10% leverage. If you were using bonds, maybe 25% is about the most you would want to do. But if you're selling a perpetual instrument, I borrow $1 billion forever, and I agree to pay you, say, 10% dividend yield forever. The principal's never coming due, right? And the preferred stock, by definition, is a dividend. It's not a coupon. The board has to have the option to suspend it in duress. So it's practically speaking possible to take your leverage beyond 20% to 30 or 40% even, but you don't have the kind of credit risk you have when you have a bond or a margin.
Let me ask you a different question. There's a whole bunch of companies now, these sort of treasury companies that are emerging, SPACs and other things, that are trying to look a little bit like what you're doing, right?
We've had 180 companies that have adopted Bitcoin on their balance sheet. We were the first. So there's an explosion in the past 6 months.
Right, but I'm curious about some of these levered efforts that may be using actual debt, not preferred the way you are, and how you think about them in the marketplace.
Most companies are buying Bitcoin instead of holding sovereign debt, or they're buying Bitcoin instead of dividending out their cash flows, or instead of buying back their stock, they're just buying Bitcoin. And so they're actually increasing their capital base. They're decreasing the credit risk in the company. There are a few companies that are going to issue Bitcoin-backed credit. They may do it with bonds. They may do it with converts. They may do it with preferreds. We're the first company to create liquid preferred stocks that represent Bitcoin-backed credit. Companies like Metaplanet will probably issue preferred stocks. They'll do it in Japan, in a yen basis. Most other companies are just going to creep into this by building up their capital base, and they're not going to get into the business of issuing credit instruments backed by Bitcoin.
How much leverage do you have?
We have about, 11% of our Bitcoin holdings are bonds, so convertible bonds, and like another 9% are preferreds. Okay. So not that much. I mean, really, we have $72 billion of Bitcoin. We have $8 billion of convertible bonds that will eventually equitize. More than half of them are already in the money.
Dang, that's wild. So what Michael Saylor is alluding to here is that the capital markets are going to be backed and issued by all of this liquidity that's just going into Bitcoin. And by using Bitcoin and then all of those modalities of the stocks and the different issuings and then also being able to just buy that preferred, strategy stock or the MS, there's the STR. I can't remember exactly what it is, but that's getting you that Bitcoin exposure as well. But yeah, I mean, really, it just means that the liquidity is just flowing into Bitcoin, and it's just like the train is just going to continue to keep getting a little faster and faster, especially with just for I mean, where else can it go? Where else can it go? I mean, yeah, it's going into gold, but you just have to think about, how are we sending money nowadays? How are we sending money? You're not sending a brick of gold. How about a brick of gold? Probably going to send a stable coin over. You're going to send some Pepe, some Dogecoin, maybe even BTC. All right, so let's see what Tom Lee has to say.
Joining us right now, Tom Lee, Fundstrat Global Advisors, Head of Research. Good morning to you. Want you to weigh in.
And also, guys, I just want to tell you thank you so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate it. If you want to directly support the channel, just make sure you guys are checking out all the links in the description down below. It's just that is the best way that you can directly support the channel. That would be super, super cool. Also, it would help with the algorithm as well, because the algorithm and it has just been a little tricky. Either the algorithm is not liking my titles, it's not liking my thumbnails, or it's just not liking my channel in general. But if you tell YouTube that you do like it, then they might also like it a little bit more as well. Let's hope.
if you could, on this debate we've been having, or I should say the debate maybe the White House is having over these jobs numbers and what it portends for the economy and therefore what it portends for the Fed.
We can see that Fed fund futures jumped from roughly 2.3 cuts by the end of this year to almost 3. So on the heels of that jobs report, the bond market essentially is saying that the labor market is now deviating further from the Fed's target than inflation, and therefore justifying actually one additional cut. So I think that makes sense to me, because we know inflation, and that August CPI gets reported this week, may be elevating, but that the markets are going to begin to view that as transitory. Whereas the weakness in the labor market, as you know, once it begins to weaken, it's very hard to reverse that momentum. So I think it's important for the Fed to intervene quickly.
And are you of the view 3 times this year, minimum?
Sense. To me, if I look at what the bond market's pricing, which is now essentially 3 cuts, and the Fed is talking about 2, the bond market is saying the Fed is behind in terms of how they're perceiving these changing conditions. And so I think on the 17th, when the FOMC makes its rate decision, I think there is a chance the Fed responds to that. And if it does, it's going to be good news, because the bond market is going to take comfort from the Fed recognizing the labor market's weakening.
Hey, Tom, even if the Fed cuts rates, it controls the short end but not the long end. What do you anticipate happens on the longer end, and what do you think happens to the mortgage market, too, as a result?
The long end is something to wonder about, because we know globally, the 30-year especially has crept up. And we know that the Fed and other central banks have acknowledged that monetary policy has a lot of influence up until 5-year. The correlation is 90%. But once you get into the 10-year, the bond market is making its own decisions about growth. That is something kind of troubling. But on the other hand, I think mortgage rates could come down sharply, because the spread between the 30-year mortgage and the 10-year is over 300 basis points.
You're totally fine.
The 50-year average is around 160. So the Fed, if it begins to resume cutting...
Nothing offends me anymore, by the way. The only thing that might offend me is if someone said my food was bad. That I might take offense to. Because I feel like I cook really well, so if I make something bad, then I might get a little offended, might get a little sensitive.
And the bond market views that as
no. Nowadays, guys, I mean, gosh, I've taken the hits. Can take all the criticism.
Essentially an easing trend. The 30-year mortgage could drop 150 basis points if the 10-year doesn't even move. That's a lot of easing for the housing market.
That is a big deal. And I know you're not an economist, but you have to have a view on where you think the economy is headed. If we get these Fed cuts and the economy, doesn't take a steep leg down, despite what we've seen with the jobs market, that's one thing. But if we get these cuts and you're also dealing with a slowing economy, potentially even a recession down the road, I mean, that's a completely different story. You looking at these Fed cuts as for good reasons, because we can do it and get away with it and it's going to improve the economy, or you looking at this and thinking, I worry about what comes on the other side?
I'm going to take the camp that I think that these cuts are actually going to be very constructive for the economy, because the 30-year mortgage is strangulating the economy. We know housing has slowed dramatically, but we also know that there's a lot of pent-up demand for housing. So it's a market that does need to be fixed in terms of easing sort of supply-demand conditions.
And that's interesting that he mentions that with the supply and demand conditions, because we have a lot of houses out in there's a lot of houses out in supply. People are trying to sell, but people can't really necessarily, they don't want to buy right now because it's too expensive. The rates are just really high. I mean, you get a mortgage rate right now at 6.5%. And so, and most housing value is around between $300,000 and $400,000 for an average American home in any of the, more popular counties, wherever you're living, whatever state and popular county and area that you live, that's the average price. For a 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, basic home, and sometimes even these homes being at those prices, they were built in like the early 2000s. They were built in like between 2000 2010, some of these homes, and they're selling for close to $500,000. That ain't like, no one wants to buy that. No one wants to buy that. Like I said before, there's like 3-4 houses that are sitting in my neighborhood right now that are going for $380,000, and they were built in the early 2000s. They're not updated. They're not new. And some of them don't even have gutters. You got to put gutters on them. Got to add a bunch of, so it's like, what? Yeah. So some of these prices are going to have to adjust, and that supply hopefully would go, the supply is actually going to continue to increase because people are going to continue to offload, because it's going to be the more that the market is going to start to adjust, people are going to want to not have to then really lower the price $100,000. It might lower it like $80K, start getting some of that, get that supply off the market. Maybe it'll adjust a little bit, but yeah, big reasons why the mortgage market right now and just the housing market is really it's starting to adjust. And I feel like we're going to, because with the rates and then what happens after the rate cuts, and then how the mortgage it takes that, it's not like the moment that the feds cut rates, then the mortgage rates immediately get cut. No, it actually, sometimes they go up. I think that happened last time. They cut the rates, and the mortgage rate for the next few months went up 0.5%. So it's not guaranteed that, like, because they cut the rates, then the mortgage rates are immediately going to go down. So we actually are going to see next year the results of what the cuts are going to be this year. Because if they're going to cut 3 times, that means it still needs some time to go through lending, and then we'll probably end up seeing mortgage rates being maybe at like 5 to maybe like 4.5% next year. So then that means if I think how the markets are going to fluctuate, then housing prices will then be equalized at a point where those houses that were in the $300,000 to $400,000 range are now in the high 200s. And like, say a house that was $350 is now selling for $280, and the mortgage rate is at 4.5%. That's going to be a big difference in your 30-year mortgage on a house that was $400,000 at a 6.5% interest rate. That's a big difference. That's a big difference. So when you start to break down the numbers of like how much it actually costs to then be a homeowner and do this stuff, you're like, it's not worth it, because you have to have an investment strategy. You have to be able to be putting money away, because you have to battle inflation. You have to battle just that in general. If you're not getting any return on your cash and you're not being able to put stuff away, you're not going to make enough money to service all of this stuff, that your expenses and the house and all of that, to then be able to, quote, retire at a healthy age. It's just not, it is not possible now with that old model. It's just not going to work. So you have to figure out how you're going to be able to combat those things that are working against you.
And we also know that ISM, which is a measure of business confidence, has been below 50 for 31 months. It's the longest stretch since the ISM's ever been created. So I think business confidence recovers if the Fed starts to cut. And so the combination of easing mortgage rates, business confidence recovery, I think is kind of a broadening cycle. And actually, I think that's why small caps have been the second best performing group after Mag 7 over the last 8 weeks.
Tom, one of the things that Scott Besson said was he thinks that the economy is actually in better shape than we think, and that the jobs numbers are going to get better. How does that factor into your thinking, or does it?
I think on the margin, I'd agree with Treasury Secretary Besson's comments for 2 reasons. One, when we go through corporate earnings, we don't have any increase in comments from businesses saying business tapered off in July or August. So even though the labor market shows like it's deteriorated the last 2 months, business conditions haven't. In fact, even the Fed's beige book most regions reported improving conditions. So that is one thing. And the second is we know the labor market undergoes a lot of revisions, and we get September's benchmark revisions. I think it may show that the job market's been weak all year. And in fact, maybe the last few months have actually been stable. So I think Treasury Secretary Bessent is sort of correct to an extent.
Hey, Tom, Bitcoin, before we let you go, tell us what you think. We're at about $111,000. The upside, the downside
Tom
from here.
Lee.
Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies like Ethereum are super sensitive to monetary policy. So I think that September 17th is an important catalyst. Crypto typically does really well in the fourth quarter. So I think Bitcoin can easily get to 200,000 before year end. I know it's a big move. It's almost a double. But that's also going
Almost
to be
a double from
for...
here. Let's just, hold on. Let's just take a quick pause. A double from here. So everybody's listening to this.
Yeah.
We're at $111,000, and you think we, by Christmas time, effectively, we could be at 200,000?
That's right. One of the reasons Bitcoin stalled this year is the Fed's been on pause for 9 months. That pause all year, if you...
Yes. This is what I'm talking about. We've shown this and have been thinking this way ourselves, because when you look at the Bitcoin rainbow chart, this thing's been freaking sideways. It's just been sideways for a year and a half, 2 years. It's been sideways. 100% just been sideways. And so this is where I feel like getting up into the red, it's not that we're not going to get into the red until next year. Or towards the end of maybe this year. So we hit that 200K. When we get to 200K by the end of the year, that means we're still in the orange. We're in the FOMO intensifies. We're not even in the sell area yet. So this is where I think it's going to get very, very interesting, because we're going to possibly hit 200K this year. We consolidate a little bit, and then we're going to be in the red, like at the first quarter in 2026. At least that's my prediction for where I think the overall cryptocurrency markets are going to be in terms of the entire market, just the entire market, total cryptocurrency market cap breaking out on the monthly chart here. You can see it. I mean, it's overdue, it's overdue. It's really ready to just do what gold's doing. If gold, and the thing is like gold's been doing this. So, and then also in the back end, crypto has been pumping on the tails of gold. Peter Schiff's probably just in his golden bubble bath right now. But at the same time, he does also have to acknowledge that is only just the signal for crypto to completely smash it and outperform it. So if gold's doing what it's doing right now, just be ready for the surge of liquidity coming back into this puppy. Because if this happened, 12,000% move to the upside total cryptocurrency market cap from the bottom trend. Well, I would have bet wager we'd get a $30 trillion going up into next year. It's coming, my friends. But thank you very much for tuning into today's live stream. Really appreciate it. I really do appreciate it. But 200K, that's how it's happening.
You look at an easing cycle. That's only happened 2 other times, in 1998 and 2024, where the Fed began to resume cuts in the fourth quarter in September. Equities do really well. As you know, crypto is beta to equity. So I think it's going to be a very strong fourth quarter. Small caps should also rally, like IWM, but that also is really bullish for Ethereum, which is highly linked to small caps.
So you are seriously bullish into the end of the year at this point, given these rate cuts. You don't look at it as bad news is good news, but therefore the good news can't be that good situation?
I would be more cautious, Andrew, if we didn't encounter so much skepticism about stocks. I think year to date, the S&P is up 10%. As you know, when you look at a pretty good measure like AAII, net bulls, less bears, it's been negative for 5 weeks. So at all-time highs, investors are bearish. And we find that skepticism among our institutional clients. So I think most are kind of bracing for a defensive view between September and year end. That's why I think that the stock market will surprise to the upside.
Prize to the upside, scam to the upside. Everyone's gonna get scammed to the upside, my friends. That's what we want. We want to get scammed to the upside. You know, if it's all built on crime and fake money at the end of the day, why not we all just get scammed to the upside, right? Let's all get scammed to the upside, my friends. Because fiat's all a scam in any way, so. At least we can figure out how to work the system, eh? But all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Bit of a slow Monday, but it's all good. We appreciate you guys for coming in. Let's check and see if we need to address anything else. I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's the ETH target. 54x to the top, baby. Thanks to Tom Lee. It'll all be on Tom Lee's shoulders. You know, we're all gonna go to Tom Lee when ETH hits 10K, and we're gonna thank him. But if it doesn't do that, then Tom Lee, I hope you have some good armor. No, I'm just kidding. No, we appreciate any of the suits and any of these guys, you know, coming on TV and calling for those bullish targets, because then I just would think, you know, even if we get relatively close to those targets, the portfolio is going to look pretty good. But all right, my friends, again, thank you for tuning in. And we encourage you to come to these live streams on a daily basis. And we stream Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we have some juicy videos for you coming up here. We have some topics and things that we think will be fun to cover and also to make videos on. And again, you know, we enjoy making content for you guys, and we love showing up every single day. And we love that you are also showing up every single day, learning and getting trained up in the dojo and being a part of the dojo crew. And yeah, we just want to say thank you. And we appreciate you very much. And so God bless you and your families. May the light of the Lord Jesus Christ shine on you and your families and your loved ones. And I hope you have a good rest of the day. And I would love to come back and live stream again later today. And maybe we just keep the train rolling. I don't know. Yeah, we're supposed to be doing 2 live streams a day, but we've just been getting busy. We like added a bunch of stuff on our schedule and just got really busy. So yeah, so thank you again. And real quick before we go, I just want to show you guys a little something that I found just to remind you of kind of where we've come from and where we're going. You know, if you see right here, this, my friends, is a real silver certificate. You used to be able to take this dollar and get a 1-to-1 ratio of silver. Isn't that wild? And if you look at the year, it says series 1935. I found these in a little keepsake thing, and I have 2 of these silver certificates. That one's a little bent up, but this one's a little bit more crisp. This one's a little bit in better condition. But isn't that amazing? Like so our money system actually, you know, the fiat, you know, printed system, you know, we used to be able to ratio this to the actual thing that it was backed by, which was gold and silver. Look. This certifies that there is on deposit in the Treasury, the United States of America. I think I can still take this and get some silver for it. So I'm curious. I'm going to actually take it. We might actually make a video. That'd be really fun to make a video and say, guys, Dano Crypto here. We just found 2 silver certificates. We're gonna go and see if we can how much silver we can get. And silver's breaking out too, by the way. But I just thought that was really cool. I meant to do that on the last live stream, but I forgot. So, but yeah, so those are super cool. Yep. I'll leave you guys with that. Have a good rest of the day. I'll see you on the next one.
This token is the end game. It's the shitcoin of shitcoin. I mean, imagine telling your coworker you're quitting because Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you coin. Boom! Imagine the media reporting on Harry Potter Obama Sonic 10 and you. Ticker is Bitcoin, breaking 1 billion market cap. Now, unless you hate money, go ahead and visit
HPOSNI.com.
Hey everyone, I just wanted to show you a really quick metric that I found fascinating. So 41% of the people that have been watching this channel and actually liking the channel and the content have not subscribed. 41% of you, but I will say 58% of you subscribed. Amazing. You guys are doing awesome. But I want to say that the people that are not subscribed yet, please, won't you consider subscribing to the channel and joining the Dojo crew where we are educating ourselves. We're in the markets every single day. We're live streaming Monday through Friday, and we're also posting content on a daily basis that is keeping up with these cryptocurrency markets. And this is where the money is flowing right now, guys. So if you want to get these updates and you want to be ahead of the game, I suggest you start subscribing and dinging the bell to be notified whenever I go live and post content, because you do not want to miss it.